Perfect. Awesome. All right. We're set up. Cool. All right. I think we're good to go. So if you're ready, I'll do the intro and we'll jump into it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. We've had this podcast. I've been wanting to have this podcast for a while. I've been trying to find a way to make it work. We have Chloe Crowder joining us today. And I must say, before we jump into it, your song, Us, if that is not one of my top 10 most streamed songs of 2023, I will be very surprised. It's just one of those things where it's like, it comes on and it's like, okay, yes, we're going to listen to this song. And that it's just kind of the way I have my playlist positioned. It's like in the top 3 or 4. So even if I'm in a short drive, it's like almost always guaranteed to play at least once. So.
Oh, well, thank you. That means a lot. It was a really special song, especially for my first one. So,
Yeah. Let's jump into that just like real quick. I know we'd kind of laid out a plan, but what was it about Us that just spoke to you that was like, okay, this needs to be your first song?
yeah, so I actually got in contact with my producer. We hadn't really met in person yet. We just had a few phone calls, and I went in to record another song that I had previously written. I played a lot around Nashville. It's one of my most popular songs at Riders Rounds. And actually, the night before I went in to record that other song, I did the chorus of Us
Mm,
and I got a verse or two in. I had everything finished except for the bridge. And
nice.
I went in to my producer's his studio, and we were about to start the other song that I had previously written, and I was like, actually, I just finished this song last night. It just doesn't have a bridge. What do you think of it? Because I'm really insecure about my songwriting because I'm pretty new to it. I've only
Mm,
written for about a year and a half, actually.
mm.
And I played it for him, and his jaw just kind of dropped, and he was like, we're gonna record that today, actually. We're gonna finish this bridge, and we're actually gonna record that today. So it was really magical. Like, we just kind of finished the bridge, and I put it out, and yeah, the rest is history. So,
That's really cool. That's you kind of go in with and not a half-written song, but it was incomplete.
yeah.
And it just when it's right, it's right. And so how long did you get the entire song recorded, or like, obviously writing the bridge and you got it recorded all in that one day?
Well, we finished writing the bridge and we kind of tracked it out for like just a simple work tape. And he said, I'm gonna get my guys on this and we're gonna make a track. He sent me the track for it. Then I went in to do the vocals. I think I'd finish them in about an hour. I did the
Oh,
background
yeah.
vocals too. And yeah, and he got it mixed and mastered a month later and we just kind of hit the road. So
That's re- that's really cool. What was the original song you were going to go in to record?
it's called Bet She Can't. It's just kind of about like the next girl that your ex is with, just kind of comparing her to yourself in a way.
Hmm.
And I'm from a really small town, so it's a pretty country song. And every time I play it out, people are like, "You've got to put that out." And so that's what I wanted to originally do first. But with Us, it was just kind of right. It was around fall time, and it was
Hmm.
kind of a sad, moody song. And yeah,
Nice. And so that original song, have you recorded that yet, or is it still kind of out there?
I actually haven't. I still play it out every time
Hmm.
I do rounds. So one day I made a shirt for it too, because I made the merch right before I was gonna record it and get it ready and sell it, and it never happened. So we'll go back to it.
Fair, fair. It's like you were so 100% sure that this song was going to be the song,
Yeah.
and then you go in with another, or you go in with it, and then you're like, "Well, I got this other song," and it's like, "No, that's the song we're recording." And it's like, "But, I put all this effort into this." Yeah, so that's very funny.
At first, I was a little bit sad because I was like, I've been picturing it. And then when Us came out, people were like, that's different. Like, that's really good. So.
Yeah, yeah. And that just leans back to what I opened up the podcast with. It's just like, I don't know what it is about Us. It's just it's an incredible song. And like, I remember the first time that I heard it, I just when I randomly came across your Instagram page, and I think I messaged you at that point, just like asking about
Yeah,
what music he had out there, and you sent me Us, and I was like, I listened to it, because I have a really weird tendency with music, like I'll hate a song initially, like it's just okay, I'll listen to it
yeah,
once and then it just kind of gets thrown into rotation. And then as it starts to pop up more, it's like, wait a minute, why am I not listening to this song more? Or what, it'll do one of two things. It'll either work its way to the top of my playlist or it'll just work its way out of my playlist. And luckily for the song Us, it's just sitting there in my playlist and I listen to it probably about once every other day or so.
wow, I love that, thanks, I
Yeah,
appreciate that so much.
for sure.
Oh, it almost wasn't out, so
I I know that's even more mind-boggling to think. It's
yeah,
like that song almost didn't get recorded. But I feel like a lot of musicians have that story where it's like, oh, that's like my number one all-time hit, and it almost didn't get recorded. So,
yeah.
but oh, so you brought up that you grew up in a small town in Western Tennessee. What was it like growing up in Tennessee? Was music something that you always wanted to do?
Yeah, ever since I can remember, I've always been singing. I was always a dreamer at heart. When I was really little, I wanted to be a Disney princess, and then it changed into being a singer, and it never changed since then.
Fair.
Um, but I grew up singing in church. I'm from a really small town, like I said. I grew up singing with my grandma, so for a long time I thought about doing Christian music. Then I got older, I did worship leading in high school, loved that. And then when I went to college, I completely fell in love with Nashville country music. I was like, this is what I want to do. So, yeah, the rest has been history.
And how long have you been in Nashville at this point?
About 2 years full time. So,
Okay. And you went to Nashville for school, correct?
yeah, I went to Belmont. So,
Okay.
that was awesome. I met a lot of cool people there. Really grateful to be there. It was my dream school. So,
Nice. I know there's a lot of like I have mixed feelings about going to college just in general, but there's a lot of musicians that are using going to Belmont just to get to Nashville and then they stay in Nashville. And it's like, okay, if there's like a plan afterwards, great, cool, I get it, but that's still really cool. So would you study at Belmont? Was it commercial music, or I'm trying to remember what the different degrees are there. So
yeah, I went in as commercial voice.
okay.
And then I switched over to music business with the pandemic, and I just wanted to learn about how the music industry worked.
Hmm.
I had a lot of internships with live music, worked at a record label, so
Nice.
it was really cool learning all of it. But at the end of the day, like performing is really what I want to do, and recording music and writing. So,
When was that moment that you had that, or when did you have that moment of okay, playing is what I want to do?
I mean, I've always had that dream.
Mm,
I've always wanted to audition for shows and perform everywhere I could, even though there weren't a lot of opportunities back in my hometown.
yeah,
I was still doing everything I could.
yeah.
And yeah, I've just always kind of known. I did work in the industry and I did love that because
Mm,
I was always around country music, but like when I worked in live venue management, I would always see everyone performing and I was just sitting there like, gosh, that's what I want to do. I want to be there. So,
yeah, gotcha. And so you just took the took the knowledge that you learned interning and all that stuff and just kind of rolled it into your own music career.
it definitely my passion grew even stronger and I didn't even realize it could. In a way, like being around songwriters pushed me more to write myself and like find out who I am
Mhm.
with artistry. So,
I gotcha. That's really cool. So taking a step back before you moved to Nashville and stuff like that, uh, at, were you writing your own music before you came to Nashville, or was that something you started exploring once you got into school?
I was a little bit. I mean, I would definitely not brag about the songs I wrote in high school.
Yeah.
I really did covers a lot and was just singing as much as I could anywhere and at church. That filled up a lot of my time doing
Mm,
worship music. But then once I was around songwriters in Nashville, I was like, wow, I really want to take this more seriously. And as I got older and had more experiences, I had more stuff to write about. I
mm,
feel like in high school, I didn't really have much because I mean, there was just a small town, even though that's what country music is
yeah,
dirt, trucks,
yeah,
love, you know.
for sure. In high school, what was your favorite cover song or song to cover?
Uh, Freshman year, I won my talent show with Skyfall by
Mm,
Adele.
okay,
I wanted to be a pop singer, flashback. In high school, I wanted to do pop music.
fair.
No, I had the strongest Southern accent, so I was discovering myself definitely. But once I got here, I was like, no, this is what I want to do. So
Okay. Um, so as you were kind of going through that discovery process, obviously, listening to music is something that you do. Who were some of the influences you were listening to as you kind of were figuring out what kind of music you wanted to write, what kind of, yeah, that stuff.
yeah, well, I love Shania Twain. I kind of grew up on that. My mom loved her. I grew up on Elvis Presley
Uh,
too, being from West Tennessee,
yeah,
Memphis.
yeah,
So I mean, I loved all kinds of music. I loved soul, and I
yeah,
didn't really love country actually in
yeah,
high school. I kind of was like, I'm around that all the time. Like, I just want to do pop music, so I listened to Adele and like all the current hits on the radio and stuff like that. But once I got here, I feel like I kind of came back to my roots, and it all kind of came together. So,
yeah, for sure. I grew up in a similar situation where country music kind of wasn't like there was people that listened to country music, but it wasn't as like the popular kids. It's not what they listened to. It was all hip hop and rock and all that stuff. And so that's definitely where I got a lot of my influences. And then as I started going to college, so I went to school or college at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale there. Um, and that's when I really got a crash course in country music because that's what they listen to down there, which was interesting. And then you brought up Memphis. Memphis is a really cool town. Like that's just, yeah.
yeah,
So,
there's a lot of history there. I mean, we didn't go too much because my
mhm.
town was about an hour away. But
Okay,
yeah, I went to Graceland for my ninth birthday. It was,
nice,
yeah, music
nice.
was always the thing. So
Fair. Um, so growing up in Western Tennessee, um, were your parents or anybody in your family musical, or was it kind of mainly more your curiosity and things?
actually, no one in my family was really musical. I mean, my grandma did sing
Hmm.
like when she was in middle and high school. She was in choir and stuff like that. But when I originally told my family I wanted to do music, like none of them really believed me. And when I was a kid, I was really shy too. So like I go to school, do my thing, come home, sing,
Yeah,
do whatever. Uh, and then when I was 9, I wanted to do the talent show at my local county fair, like the town over from
yeah,
my and like my mom kept saying, "Oh, she's gonna back out. Like she's not gonna go through with it." Not that she didn't believe in me, but
yeah,
it was more so a shock thing because I didn't grow up with someone playing piano or teaching me guitar. It was just I wanted to be a singer.
yeah,
So, since then I haven't stopped. So,
for sure. Oh, what was the first instrument you picked up? Did you learn guitar or piano first?
I took piano lessons a
Mm,
little bit late high school. I didn't really get into it, and so then when I came here, I picked up guitar more because that's kind of what
yeah,
people do around here, like they take their guitars around.
yeah.
So,
And it's a little bit easier to get around with the guitar than if you have to bring like a keyboard or something. Like especially if you got to take, especially if you're going like downtown Nashville and you got to take like public transit. It's like yeah, it's a little bit easier to take a guitar than having to bring a big old keyboard and an amp probably. So
Yeah, I fully respect the girls who bring their keyboard and set it all up. So,
yeah, for sure. For sure. Oh, so you said you've been in Nashville full time now for what, 2 years, you said?
yeah,
How's things been going in Nashville since you've been there full time?
pretty good. I mean, the transition is kind of different. You kind of have to wake up and like it's a choice to commit and to pursue this every day since
Hmm.
there's so many people here doing that every day. So,
Hmm.
I mean, at times it's kind of hard because it's like, am I doing enough? Am I writing enough? Like, am I meeting people? Like, what do they think about me? It's just so many things that
Hmm.
goes through your head every day. But
Yeah,
it's been good. I love it here, and yeah, this is all I've ever wanted to do. So
nice, nice. It is Nashville is a really cool city. I've only been a few times, and I'm coming back. I want to eventually move there, but it's just one of those things where it's like I'm not going to move there unless I have like sustainable income. So whether that's I get a job or Live and Amplify just starts making money somehow, it's like I'm just not going to up and move because I'm 36 years old. I'm like I got bills to pay, you know.
yeah.
So um, but yeah, Nashville's a really cool town, and if you are open to just working with people and just like I've only been to Nashville a handful of times, like I said, and I'm almost positive I could pick up my phone to just about anybody I've ever met there, and they'll fill up my day with like 800 things to do. So yeah, it's really cool. Um, so being in Nashville, how's that changed you as a musician? How's that challenged you as a musician?
It's kind of pushed me to be better in a way. I feel like a lot of times people come here and I've heard the stories like they're here for a few years and they're
Yeah.
like, this is just not for me. I mean, I do find myself coming from a small town, kind of missing the quiet and the peace and like all the time in the world to write. And then when you move
Hmm.
here, it's like, you got to go to work, you have a write, you got to play. When are
Yep.
you going to have time to write? That's kind of the biggest thing that I'm trying to overcome.
Hmm.
But I feel like being here, it's kind of easier because I can just call up friends to write with, and it's a lot easier than just kind of on my own. So,
Yeah, for sure. There's always somebody there that's wanting to write or willing to write. So that's really the cool thing about the place. Um, so kind of jumping into the music, we've already talked about Us, your first single that you released back in 2022. Let's talk about your most recent release, which you released "Moving On" in May, right?
it
Or
was the beginning of June. Yeah. I
okay.
think it was June 9th. Oh, I'm so
I
bad with dates, so.
I'm like I have no concept of time, so you could have told me January, and I'd been like, okay, cool. I'm just late to the game, I guess. I don't know. So what's the story of moving on?
Yeah, so I kind of didn't want my next single to be about a breakup or about somebody specifically. But this year's been a really tough year for me, like my toughest year yet. And I went into that right that day with one of my friends, Ryan Waters, and my producer. And I came in and I was like, I just want to write a song that's upbeat, not sad, because us is a little sad. It'll put you in your feels a little bit. Uh, and I just kind of want to write a song about moving on. I ended a relationship early on this year. I had a family member pass away in December, and
Oh,
like I just found myself like stuck in this rut. And I was like, I
yeah.
need something happy. I want people to feel good. I
Hmm.
just want to move on with life. And coincidentally, it's called Moving On. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good song. I've had a chance to listen to it a few times now. We played it on the Hoedown Showdown. I believe it this past week or was it 2 weeks ago?
I think
Trying to
it may have been last week. I'm not.
Yeah, that sounds about right because I'm sitting there. I think the intent was to promote this podcast. I think I do so much. It's just like, okay, I know vague details of my life anymore. Um, with moving on, what I know you didn't want to write a breakup song, but uh with moving on, is where was that in kind of the like create in your creative element? Was it something that you were working on and it just kind of happened to work out when you were ready to release the next song, or was it something that's been sitting in your back pocket? Where was it kind of like in your creative archives, I guess?
Yeah, so moving on came out of nowhere.
Okay.
We, like I said, when I went in that afternoon, we were all kind of tired,
Mm,
and we had this guy on guitar, and he plays on most of my songs, but he just kind of had this. He was like, "What are you inspired by?" And I,
mhm.
of course, went back to Shania Twain,
Yeah.
90s. Like that's the sound that I really love. And not that I want to imitate, but like I just want to hone in like that real country beat, but kind of modern still. So he kind of had this beat going, and like I said, I was like, I want to write a song about moving on, and Ryan was like, he was just spitting out the first verse.
Hmm.
He had the first verse written in like 10, 15 minutes, and then uh I just kind of was talking about like even though the verses weren't technically true in a
Mm,
sense, like
yeah.
I kind of wanted the chorus to be about like that coming of age, like you don't have to be mad that a relationship doesn't work out. I mean,
Mm,
that's what dating is. You just move on to the next and you do you. It's okay to walk away from something that's not meant for you. So, it's just kind of about being confident and, you know, leaving the past in the past. So,
mm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so it all pretty much just got written right there, and then you just took it right into the studio after that.
yeah, believe we finished the song that afternoon.
Mm,
Or no, we I think we touched up on a few things
mhm.
another day. And a few weeks later, he got the track done and we just needed bass on it, but I went in and I recorded the vocals.
Yeah.
And we thought it was going to be a big harmony song, so I recorded like three different harmonies
Mm,
to stack on it. But yeah, I love it. I didn't think I could love something more than Us just because
mm,
Us was so special,
yeah.
but I love it. So
Yeah, it is an amazing song. Is what's kind of the plan moving forward? Like now that the song's out, it's been out for a few weeks and it's gaining traction and doing really well. What's kind of the plan moving forward? Are you looking at the next release? Or are you going to kind of let moving on sit and just kind of let it be what it's going to be for a while?
I'm definitely still writing and working on new music. I recorded a few live studio sessions that
Yes.
I'm gonna release moving on this Friday
Mm,
and cover and us in the next few weeks, but just to hold out
yeah.
until the new single comes. But I'm definitely writing a lot. I do have a song lined up for later this year about my grandfather that
Mm,
passed away in December. So I'm really excited about that one. But a new song is in the works. I
yeah.
have one, but we're writing one here in the next few weeks to kind of compare it and see which one we want to do. So hopefully something will be out around August, September. So
Nice. Something close to the end of the summer, fall time.
yeah.
That's really cool. Um, so as a songwriter, when you're going through writing a song, what is the biggest struggle for you? Like is it getting started on the song? Is it trying to keep it consistent? Like what for you as a songwriter, what is your struggle when it comes to writing a song?
For me personally, I don't have a structure. I
Yeah.
feel like everybody's different, but I can't just sit down and be like, okay, this is the first verse. Now here's the chorus.
Hmm.
Because I've sang all my life, I feel like I naturally hear the melody,
Mm,
and then I'm like, okay, what am I gonna say? What do I want to say?
yeah.
What do people want to hear? So that's kind of my struggle is just trying to. I have a lot of ideas, but sitting down with people and trying to figure out where we want to put that and what lyric we want to do, kind of in which way. So
Gotcha. Fair enough. It's always interesting because songwriting to me is it's like it to me it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? And it's like I don't know what's easier. Is it easier to start with like if you have like a beat in your head, or is it easier to start with the lyrics? I don't know. Like to me, it's like one can't go without the other. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's just like I'll let the creative songwriters figure it out, and I'll just sit here and enjoy the music.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at on the whole thing. Um, do you, so you said you got another song in the works, hopefully August, September, somewhere in that ballpark. Are you looking at the possibility of like releasing an album, an EP, or do you just kind of see yourself doing singles and then later on 2024, once you kind of get a few under your belt, that's when you'll start looking at something bigger?
I mean, I definitely do see myself eventually wanting to put a little EP out or an album just to kind of tell a story of what I want. But I don't know, right now I'm really having fun with singles because I mean, my first one was kind of vulnerable for me to write, and my second one was kind of fun and upbeat. And it's kind of cool, like playing the characters of different songs because it's like naturally I'm not the most outgoing like person. My next song that I'm writing is like it sounds like Beth Dutton would sing it on Yellowstone. It's like it's kind of sassy, so
Nice.
I'm kind of having fun. So
So you're kind of using this opportunity to figure out what kind of musician you want to be or like what kind of music you want to write. I mean, obviously you're kind of staying in the country realm, but like what kind of country music you want to write?
yeah, definitely. I mean, I know I don't want to go too far down the pop country
Yeah.
lane. I do want to stay to my roots and kind of bring that classic country back, kind of
Hmm.
like I wouldn't say like Lainey Wilson, but kind of what she's
Yeah.
doing. She's got the more country
Y-
side to it.
Yeah. I mean, 90s country is coming full circle right back around. I did a podcast a few months ago and they had a whole discussion about that. I was like, yes, I was alive in the 90s, but I couldn't name but four country songs from the 90s. So, yeah, because I just didn't listen to it. But, so just kind of trying to stay in that classic country realm is seems to kind of be on par with what a lot of people are doing right now. So, but, so outside of music, when you need to decompress, when you need to take a minute for yourself, all that stuff. What are some of your hobbies? What do you do to kind of step aside?
Yeah, well, I love hanging out with my friends. I feel like that just, and my family, it just gets me back to who I am. Like they remind me, you're good enough, like you're doing the best you can do. But I do love writing. I
Mm,
mean, that's kind of with music, so I
yeah,
guess that doesn't really count.
but like I mean, if you're writing like poems or writing books or story, like something that isn't music, it is kind of different. So
But I love being outside. I mean, being from West Tennessee, like there's nothing really to do, but I love hiking, fishing, just even like taking walks. Like if I go take a walk and I come back in, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's finish this song. Let's do this. So,
nice. Hey, that's really cool. I've said it before. I think that's just consistent amongst all creatives because they're so dialed in, like just need to be so focused. The opportunity to kind of disconnect and just turn off the matrix and just kind of enjoy the moment. I
yeah.
think that's what a lot of just creative people in general look for. So, yeah. Um, so one of the things that we do with everybody that comes on the podcast, I have a fun little game. I probably should have had this open before I brought this up, but here we sit. So well, I have a fun little game called That's So Random. And I'm going to ask you five random questions from this fun little random question generator I have. And yeah, that'll be the game.
Oh no, I'm nervous now.
No, don't be nervous. It's really not that bad. All right. So if you're ready, that's so random. How young is too young to date?
I would say anything under 16. And to disclose, I dated under 16 and I was very mad at my parents because they were like, you don't need to do that. But now being older, I'm like, if you can't drive, you can't date. So
Fair. Very fair. To me, it's like if you're under 16, you're just going out with friends. Like
yeah.
I don't know too many people that the girl they dated when they were 13, 14 was the girl they ended up marrying. Like there's not too many people. So 100% agreed. All right. Do you control your feelings or do your feelings control you?
My feelings definitely control me. I mean, I've worked on it, but I feel like being an artist and being a creative, like, you can't help it. You feel something, you write a song about it. So, yeah.
You get to be the opposite gender for one day. What are you doing that day?
Oh, goodness. Sorry, I had to think about that one.
No, you're good.
Um,
I just let the silence sit.
I feel like, especially in Nashville, like you see so many guys just hanging out at a sports bar, like all day long, doing nothing, drinking beers. So I feel like that would be pretty fun.
Nice. Yeah. Where's the last place you had, or where's the last place that you traveled that you had to get on an airplane for?
Um, Orlando. Senior year of high school, that was where our choir competition was. So,
Nice.
yeah, Florida. I don't
Cool.
fly much. Planes kind of scare me, so.
I wouldn't say planes scare me. It's the people on the plane that scare me. Like the fit, yeah. It's like you see all these videos and it's like, I'm good. I don't need that in my life.
Yeah.
Oh, and then final question. If you're gifted an island, what is it called?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I mean, I guess it would be my name. I don't know. Like,
Chloe Island? Chloe Crowder Island?
I don't know. I don't think I'm creative in coming up with a title for an island. But it would be fun and full of
Yeah,
country music, so.
for sure. For sure. I was sitting here, I was like, think of a crazy day, think of and then my brain just went dead. I was like, yep, it's that day. So
Exactly. So.
because I was sitting here looking at your Spotify playlist, I was like, something with moving on. Moving on the island. Yeah, there you go. That sounds riveting. So um, so yeah, that's so random. A fun little game to break up to add some spice to the interview. Um, so kind of heading into the summer now, you got the release or a potential release coming August, September. How often are you playing shows this summer? Is that something you're doing pretty consistently, or you kind of mentioned that you had a job, so I'm sure that that makes things a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I play at a few writers' rounds around town. I used to play 2-hour sets at a brewery. Um, but yeah, I just feel like I love getting out and playing. I definitely want to do it more. I need to
Mm,
get better at guitar and take guitar lessons, honestly, and
yeah.
get more songs to play out. I mean, I do have a lot more new songs. I
Mm,
am focusing on writing over playing out and
mm,
just trying to get stuff out and get some content so that people can listen and hear it and find me and hopefully
yeah.
stream music. So
Yeah, for sure. You know, we're always here to help independent musicians. So any chance we get to promote music, we're all about it. Um, so as you kind of as we kind of approach the end of the podcast here, if people want to check out your music, check out any of your upcoming shows, any of that fun stuff, where's the best place to do that?
I do have a website and I try to update that the best I can with my new music out and kind of what I'm doing. I do have my shows on there and I'm really looking into merch soon. I'm trying to kind of figure that out
Mhm.
with branding and all sorts of things. So definitely my website. And I've tried to post everything on Instagram, and
Mm,
I'm gonna be uploading my live sessions to YouTube and stuff, like I kind of
nice.
talked about earlier. But yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
nice. The live sessions are really cool. Like it's it's something that we used to do, but then my buddy and I, he still lives out in New Mexico, and then I moved 20 hours away. Like I moved across the country and we kind of stopped doing the live sessions. And it was just one of those things where it was like really hard to do because there's a lot of moving parts. And I'm like, okay, let's stop. But recently it's like, I really want to go back to doing that because it was just fun. Like it was challenging and we got to hear some really good performances. So,
Yeah, I really love doing it. I mean, I know it's hard trying to get everybody together, but I feel
mhm,
like acoustically, that's where the song always starts. So
mhm,
to me, it's really special than just hearing the produced track. So
yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where it's like you're hearing the authentic version of the song. Like it's what it was. I'm not going to say what it was meant to be, but what it is. And then you go into the studio and then it's what it could be or what it can be, which is really cool. I've always had an affinity for like stripped back acoustic music. So, um, but yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute blast chatting with you. If anybody wants to follow Chloe Crowder, please do that. Social medias, all that stuff. Stream Moving On. It's absolutely amazing song. I I love it. I love us. It just you've got some really good music out there. I can't wait for that third single to come out, and we'll spin it on the Hoedown Showdown and all that fun stuff. So, um, but yeah, other than that, thank you once again, and we will see you all later. Cool.